Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening. My name is Stephen Kilger. I'm the managing editor of Feed and Grain Magazine and the host of the Feed and Grain podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today as we dive deep into the issues affecting the feed manufacturing, grain handling, and allied industries. Today's episode is brought to you by the Bin Whip from Newmat Systems. The powerful dual impact Bin Whip removes the toughest buildup and blockages in industrial storage silos without hazardous silo entry. Learn more today at binwhip.com. Today, my guests are Brandon Canclini, Global Project Manager of Definitive Purpose Motors, and Randall Sorrells, Global Segment Sales Manager, Food and Beverage, and EMA Motors, both for ABB. We sat down to talk about advancements in motor technology, including efficiency, sanitation, and new technology. I hope you enjoyed the interview. If you want to help out with the podcast and are listening to this in a podcasting app, please rate us and subscribe. If you're listening online, sign up for the Feed and Grain newsletter, Industry Watch, to see when new podcasts drop and stay up to date with news from around the industry. Now, onto the show. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Randall, for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Why don't you guys just tell me a little bit about yourselves and what you do at ABB and kind of your connection to the industry?
Okay. I'll go ahead and start. My name is Brandon Canclini. I'm the Global Product Manager for Definite Purpose Products. I'm responsible for our wash down and farm duty products. I've been in the role for about 12 months now. I came from a project management background. I ran a lot of product development projects prior to moving into this product management role. And I guess that's real. I've been with the company now for 15 years. So started off as a quality engineer in a couple of our different manufacturing plants. And then through the years, just moved into different roles. So that's my story.
I'm Randall Sorrells, and I'm the global head for food and beverage segment sales for NEMA Motors. And so I've been in this role now just under a year, but I've been with ABB since 2012. And then, of course, been in the industry much longer than we'll want to really talk about. But anyway, so my background is automation. So packaging and automation, PLCs, drives, motors, anything to do with the plant floor automation. And so that's my background coming into this. I've worked in all different segments in all my career, but of course, anything food and beverage has always been a big part of that. Pharmaceuticals, poultry, many other, of course, direct food and beverage. So that's my background. And then coming into this, being able to focus 100% in this sector is very important.
Yeah. When I think of ABB, I think of motors, obviously. And so in our industry, feed and grain handling, feed manufacturing, grain handling, it's really the heart of the entire facility. Your motor is the most really important thing. It leaves everything, powers everything. It's what you need. What if someone hasn't upgraded their motors in maybe 10 years? If they haven't made any upgrades to their system, what new have you guys been doing that might convince them that this is the time, that it's important for them to upgrade now versus in the future, waiting another 5 years?
So if you don't mind, before I answer, we totally answer the product side of it, which Brandon can cover. If you don't mind, let me talk leading into that. So let's talk about how everything has changed in general. So at this point, we're sitting at a scenario to where, let's say, close to 20%, definitely not exceeding much of that, is the motors are now controlled by VFDs. And so what that means is with the VFD, you can now start controlling your process rather than your process so much controlling you. So by this trend being able to come to us over the years with technology, the cost of automation coming down in general, like I said, that's my entire background. It's allowed us to be able to take various technologies into other parts of the industry. And so we're looking at process control, but now we're actually starting to really look at process efficiency as well. And with all that, you've got the total cost of ownership that you must look at. So not only the inception cost of the units, the widgets itself, but what's that going to cost you for the entire life of that equipment? So that kind of leads it into where some of our products. And Brandon, if you don't mind, maybe just taking it off with some of the stuff that you've released.
Okay. This past year, we've really been involved in a lot of product launches, really aiming for a lot of it being our brand new SP4 product line. So we're basically addressing a regulation that's not going to go into effect until June of 2027. It affects the horsepower ratings from 100 to 250 horsepower, and it's going to require those motors to operate at an IE4 efficiency rating. We've gone ahead and taken the initiative to release this new SP4 product, which is IE4 rated. We've gone ahead and released it, and it's from, we've got basically 1 through 300 horsepower that we've gone ahead to, because we know that customers are going to be looking into the future and starting to plan for what the application needs are. So they have the ability to go ahead and incorporate the new high efficiency motor into those applications. So really excited about that.
For people who might not know, what is this regulation like? What is happening with it?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's going to be June of 2027. It's going to require from 100 to 250 horsepower to operate at an IE4 rating. It's going to be a mandatory. And can you think of anything else from a requirement standpoint?
I think that's the main requirement. If you don't mind, let me explain this with an analogy. So some of us that have been in the industry for a number of years and starting to date ourselves, this analogy might help a little bit. So if you think about fluorescent lights, so we used to have the big fat 8-foot long, what was called the T12 fluorescent lights. When the more efficient bulbs started coming onto the market, basically the discussion was for every hour that we're still burning the T12 lights, it was costing money. Okay. And at that point, it became very costly to keep the T12 rather than talk about upgrading. And so that's where we are with the motors. So our technology with the motors, so the mandates are pushing us to, let's say, a different type of light bulb, so to speak. But we're talking about motors, which use a lot more electricity than what light bulbs do. And so this is taking us to where we need to use more efficient motors. And so that's what we've released, Brandon's talking about, is that IE3. So the IE3 was what the standard was for many years. IE4 takes it to the next efficiency band. And then IE5, which you'll get to in a bit, is even on beyond that. Hopefully that analogy helps explain it just a little bit.
The Department of Energy that sets these regulations.
Yeah, it seems like it kills two birds with one stone, right? Because also mills, grain elevators, we're trying to be more efficient, not only for the story to the public that we want to tell, the money that you'll save in an industry that is increasingly getting tighter and tighter margins. So can you tell me a little bit about what, I guess, the upgrade process is? Say you already have a mill, need to get these new motors. How do you suggest people start going about that process?
One of the things that we made sure when we released this SP4 product, we made it to where it's a drop-in replacement. So it follows the NEMA frames, and we offer it in a standard mounting as well as the C-face mounting. So it's going to be really easy to find a similar product that meets application requirements. So where they just pull the old motor out, drop the new motor in, and boom, they're starting the savings.
Awesome. Another thing I've noticed is, well, your background's in automation. You guys have been increasing the information you can get from a motor. The more data you can get. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of data people can get and how that can be useful for them running their own?
Absolutely. And a lot of it depends on how you're connected as well, because as we talked about, that 20% that have VFDs on it, we get information directly from the VFD. But we've taken it to the next step, and we offer what's called a motor sensor, the smart sensor, to where it's basically it's a health monitor that sits directly on the motor that's gathering information, start, stops, vibration, RPM, speed variations. So it's an excellent tool. But then, so that data is available to anybody that buys the smart sensor. But we take that then to the next step. So think of that as like a wrist-worn health monitor, okay, which is good. But we offer an additional service that's utilizing that data that kind of steps it up to an EKG, because then we have doctors behind the scenes reading the charts so that they're interpolating that data. So it's data otherwise, but then they're adding the intelligence to it.
Yeah.
So we can take it to where it's at that point truly condition monitoring.
Which is important, I think, because a lot of people, they get the data and then they have no idea what to do with it, what any of it means.
That is correct. And because data is data until you know what it means,
Mhm.
right? So it's just, for example, if I have to go for MRI, they'll give me a DVD or whatever with those MRI images on.
Yeah.
I don't have the skills to make heads or tails of it. And so that's where our additional service takes it on to being able to truly read it and interpret that data.
It's really cool, especially things like vibration monitoring, which I always found really fascinating because it's one of those things a lot of people think that they could just see or they could just think, but these sensors collect so much more data about your facility than you'd ever be able to just monitor yourself.
And when you're talking about condition monitoring, to see it, you've just got to have something catastrophic, right? So what we're wanting to do is be able to detect it well before a failure and do predictive maintenance, right? So that's where you can't see it. You can't really feel it with human touch. That's why these sensors become so valuable in that predictive maintenance side of things.
Unplanned downtime is very costly.
Oh yeah. Unplanned downtime it could ruin your Florida. It really could. Very easily.
At the bottom of the day, so every single one of our customers, all the end users, they're running money machines. They're stamping out $100 bills. And so it's very important to keep those money machines running.
Yep.
And so any downtime that you can prevent, okay, so you may have to pay a nickel more for this or that, but if it can prevent that downtime, what's it worth at that point? So then you have to start looking at it. Can you afford not to invest to that? And that's one of the big things that we're helping to work with our customers is being able to distinguish between what's an investment and what's an expense.
Yep. What else have you guys been working on this over the last couple of years? Maybe even some future stuff you're working on. What do you guys got? Tell me all your secrets.
For washdown products, we recently released a 3-leaded version of our Food Safe product. Our standard Food Safe has 9 leads, and we reduced that to a 3-lead on 460-volt applications only. So what this does is it reduces the installation time and also reduces the complexity of the installation by reducing the opportunity to accidentally misconnect the motor to the application. Another thing that we're just now releasing, in fact, this week, is our brand new Food Safe SP5 Plus. And what that is that we integrated a ferrite-assisted synchronous reluctance rotor into our standard winding. And what we're able to achieve is an IE5 efficiency rating. So we're really starting to explore a lot of different designs to really push that efficiency level up. And so really excited about these new products that we're bringing to the market.
Excellent. And while I have experts here, unless you have something else.
I can go on, and I'm more than glad to. So a couple other things, too, I want to point out that's new for us is, and I want to tag on to the discussion earlier about the SP4 product that he released. So the SP4, so as a standard part of that offering, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, but so for anything that's like for the grain industry, you get into explosion applications, right? So by default in their standard product, we have that certification built into that product. So again, it's bolt-in, like you said, bolt-in replacement, but it's good for VFDs and non-VFDs, and being able to also take care of those explosion-proof applications.
That's on a specific SP4 product line. It's our severe duty, and it's rated for DIP 2, Class 2, and G.
And then also over the past year or so, we've been in the process of releasing a series of products, which is called our Integrated Motor Drive, so our IMD. So this is motors with VFDs directly coupled and attached to those motors. And so those attack both the application, so again, controlling the application, but also the energy efficiency. So you're talking about the SP5 product that he mentioned with Food Safe. So we're doing that same technology on those IMDs with the VFD on it. So it is literally the most efficient package on the market that you can have right now.
Awesome.
But anyway, so that's a part of our portfolio that we're continuing to launch as well.
I have experts here. So I have to ask, what are you guys excited about for the future? What do you think is the kind of the next big thing? What do you think this industry is going to see in motors in 5 years?
Good questions. Of course, what we're constantly pushing the envelope on is reliability. Because again, you can get a cheaper widget out there, but if you're having to take it, replace it on a very regular interval, especially if you have any social conscience as far as carbon footprint, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of resources to first make any motor, right? So if you're having to replace it on too regular of an interval, what's that doing? And that's before you even start talking about the energy consumption of the motor itself.
And the downtime of needing to replace and all that
That's
other
right.
kind of stuff.
And the expertise and the resources that's needed to replace. So that's one of the areas that Brandon and his team is really bringing to us and the sales side is so that we can take to the customers is that reliability, making sure that we are building the most reliable product on the market, but doing so without sacrificing, but actually elevating the technology for us to leverage an energy efficiency. So combining those two, frankly, makes it very exciting for me to go out and talk to customers.
Awesome. So if people want more information, where should they go?
So of course, there's a number of ways to reach us, but we've got a number of fantastic channel partners that handle our products. But the other great thing is we have what's called a district office network that's all over the country. So within literally an hour or two of anywhere. So I highly encourage everybody to go to abb.com and then drill down through the motors portion of that. As you can imagine, with anything else, URLs are a little hard to verbalize, but drilling down through abb.com is one of the best ways.
And I'm sure you can reach out and ask questions and things like that.
Absolutely, yes. But
because I've been to their website, those motor numbers.
Yeah. So the best thing is because we are not just a .com and good luck kind of company. We are all about being able to come in, sit down, have a conversation, walk people through, and making sure the right application and the right products come together for the right solution. And that's what we're all about because, again, we've been around a long time. We intend on being, and www.dumpandrun.com is not the way we play things.
You also have a great blog, too, from what I remember, so people can find more information about things there, and it's a good resource.
We have a YouTube channel. We're on various social media platforms, and accessibility to our product information. Go into our, like Randall mentioned, go into our website. You can find a lot of information available for each one of our product groups.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.